Here we are, day 2 of Texans training camp. Jason Bristol and Luis Ortiz, as we have just returned from the Houston Methodist Training Center. Luis, your big takeaway from day 2?
Man, good question. I think awareness, self-awareness. The team is aware of what things are working so far, where they start off, the foundation that they have, and then where they need to improve, right? Jalen Petrie, one of the things he said was there's been mistakes in these first 2 days on both sides of the football, on defense and offense, and he says he likes the way that they are responding to those mistakes. Demeco Ryans also said today they took a step backwards in offense because he mentioned when I asked him about what stood out to you, he said, the pre-snap penalties. There were some of those, and they've been very, very persistent or consistent on talking about the pre-snap. How important is pre-snap moments, right, leading up to when they start the play? So to me right now, I think for day 2 is self-awareness is what really is my takeaway.
We heard from Jalen Petrie. We heard from David Montgomery. You spoke with Keelin Rutledge. And then we also obviously heard from Demeco Ryans. I thought it was interesting that you mentioned how it didn't go well on both sides in many ways. There were some mistakes on both sides. I think the offense probably was more glaring because you had a pick six that was thrown. You had a botched snap. And then you have some of the pre-snap issues. It's going to happen. I mean, this is only day 2. But it was also interesting to hear, again, how Demeco mentioned about the pre-snap stuff. And that is something that has been a point of emphasis throughout OTAs and mini camp and the offseason program. So it's I imagine it has to be a little disappointing to him to see this, I don't want to say flare up, but to become a problem on day 2, given it was such a point of emphasis during the offseason program. So I would think that how disappointed the Texans are, we may never know, but certainly these things happen. It's just, those are the things that just get it, coaches. It's the pre-snap stuff.
Yeah, and I think for Demeco, that's one of his big pet peeves, you know, and to your point, when he said we took a step back in offense in that regard, I think that goes to what you're talking about, him being disappointed. He doesn't ever show it to us.
Yeah. Right?
I don't think we ever see Demeco Ryans outside of like on game day that he's excited on the sideline, running up and down when the defense comes up with a takeaway or they score a defensive touchdown or something. You obviously see emotional Demeco Ryans, but I don't think we ever see an upset Demeco Ryans.
Well, we did last year when it was brought up that
remind me.
The media doesn't write or say
okay.
That was a not upset, but disappointed, I guess. Or I mean, listen, you were at a point where you were 0-3, so that was a Demeco Ryans that wasn't happy for obvious reasons.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, we can say that during the week as they prep and media availability, there was a moment in which he, you can say maybe called us out, if you will.
He was frustrated.
Yeah,
might have been, and it might not have been just directed at. Anyways, it's that they then rolled off 9 wins in a row and finished 12-5. So it wasn't that bad. Disappointing news on the injury front. We just know that it's a foot injury for Jake Hanson. Action had to be stopped. He had to be carted off the field during a point in practice. Don't know what happened. I think most of us just saw him on the field and then practice. Everybody took a knee and practice was stopped. That's certainly disappointing because here's a guy, and we don't know the severity and certainly aren't going to speculate, but a guy who's important when it comes to special teams. Brevin Jordan had a good day, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yeah, he had a few good catches. I really liked what Brevin Jordan showed today. I mean, it seems like he's out there having fun finally after missing last year, coming back. And if I remember correctly, I mean, last year he was coming back from an injury as well, and then in training camp is when he gets injured and then loses, the season. So I think Brevin Jordan is kind of itching to be back there and playing, and the Texans could use him. I was talking to Seth Payne while we were watching and just kind of talking about going back and forth, because at one point And look, we're not trying to speculate whether it's first team, second team, or third team or whatever, but you see him going out there with the guys that he's going out with. And then we're just kind of talking about, well, would he be the second tight end behind Dalton Schultz? Would he be third option? And I think it just kind of, it depends. You know, Seth was telling me, I think it's just all situational, right? Because Kate Stover really probably going to be out there more for blocking, when Brevin Jordan, you can use him more for his playmaking ability, if you will, more of a slot wide receiver, if you will. He can catch the ball. So it's going to be interesting to see how they use him, how the tight end room comes into play throughout the season, in which Demeco Ryans and Day One talked about he's expecting for that group to be more of a contributor this year.
Well, I think that it's probably one of, if not the most competitive position groups in terms of spots and the number of guys. So, yeah, we'll see how that all shakes out. But Brevin Jordan had a good day. Huzzy had the pick six, the interception for return for a touchdown. And then also, I thought, Whittington, the running back, had another pretty good day.
Well, there was also, going back to the defense and the interception, there was another play in which they almost intercepted the pass, and they just happened to drop it. I can't remember who it was, the guy making the defensive play, but that goes to what Demeco Ryans talked about, saying they have to finish better on the defensive plays, because he felt like there was a few takeaways that they missed out on. And you know, Demeco Ryans, his expectations when it comes to defense are through the roof.
Yeah.
He's expecting for them to come away with the ball as many times as they can. So, and that's going to be key, because it was last year and it's going to be key this year again. If they can, look, the team that turns the ball over the least or forces the most turnovers more than likely has the better odds of winning the game.
Nick Caserio goes back to that all the time, that it's the one true indicator of success in the NFL is who turns it over and who doesn't turn it over. Speaking of takeaways, you spoke with Keelin Rutledge. What was your big takeaway from, or a few takeaways from your 3, 4, 5 minutes you had with Keylan Rutledge? Obviously, the Texans' first round draft pick in the 2026 draft.
Yeah, I took away from it that he's out here learning, man. He's like a sponge. He's right now taking everything in, and he's really a guy that he says, look, I'm really happy to just be out here on the grass. He wants to be on the field. He wants to be playing. He wants to be practicing. We talked about, playing or getting some reps in that center, reps in that guard, and the difference, the big difference. And he said, well, look, you from one position to the other. At center, you're the guy calling the shots. You're the one directing everyone. You're communicating. You're maybe tapping the guy to your left or to your right and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. While when you're at guard, it's more so of a you receive the communication and then execute. So he did say, look, have I played a little bit at center before, gotten some reps before? Yes, but not full time, and not.
He had to put a little asterisk, right? Like, I've played it, but I haven't really played it.
Right. I haven't done it where we're practicing all the time and then go out there and transition it to game time, right? To game day. So I think, look, he's learning. He's open to it. He understands that there's a learning curve. And we'll see what ends up happening. I think it's very, very early on, and it's really going to be about how he develops and what he shows, what he can do, and then see the Texans will kind of decide where he fits best.
Some credit here to SNL Texans Talk, Cody Stutes, Landry Locker, friends of the program, Sports Extra. They noticed, and we were tied up doing something else. I think we were trying to get ready for the interviews yesterday, and they noticed Keelin Rutledge just steamrolling Azeez Al-Shire, and that was like the moment of the day, the first day for them. And I didn't see it. Right. You didn't see it.
No.
And listen, it's something that those types of plays typically elicit a reaction.
Yeah.
And we were talking with Seth Payne that there really wasn't one. So it was almost, perhaps, an idea where the defense was like, all right, yeah. we approve of this. Yeah. We want these types of maulers, and that's all speculation. But so far, so good for Keelin Rutledge when it comes to what he knows best, I would say, and that is being physical, the motor. Obviously, there are going to be growing pains when it comes to this idea of, would it be transitioning to center? I don't know. Whatever they have in mind in their plans for him, or I assume it'll probably be how he reacts to all of it. But I would say what Keelin Rutledge does best, he's excelling at thus far. And granted, it's only day 2.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, defense welcoming that type of physical play from the offense.
We think.
I know. I'm pretty sure they are, because I mean, remember we were listening to Jalen Petrie and how they always go about iron sharpens iron, right? And remember last year there was many days in which defense got the better of the offense, right? We knew last year was very clear that the defense was going to be this team's best weapon. And this year the offense wants to. David Montgomery touched on it today towards the end of his media availability, saying he acknowledged we have the best defense in the league. We're trying to form one of, if not the best offense in the NFL as well. So they know they want to come out there and, I mean, can you imagine whether you're David Montgomery, C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, any of these guys on offense, and you go out there and train with these guys, with the defense every day, and then you got beat.
Yeah.
What's that going to feel like?
Well, we've seen it. I mean, Will Anderson was blowing up OTAs day 1. I mean, Will Anderson sometimes doesn't let the offense do what it needs to do.
Right. So, no, for sure. I think defense definitely is going to welcome that, and they like the challenge. And we know how that defense is. Their mentality, that swarm mentality, we know that they want to be put to the test. They want to be pushed to the limit.
We also saw some of the punters today. They were working on some things. It seems, I don't think that at this point, and again, I'm not in the meeting rooms and I'm not a coach, but it doesn't appear that either Stonehouse or Kroger has separated himself. And again, it's day 2. Yeah. I don't think that there's any reason to think that one guy, well, I guess if somebody had, shanked every punt, that would be an idea.
Right.
That would be something where you'd say, well, this guy's probably not going to be the starting punter. We saw quite a bit of where we were the running backs, or at least where I was. They were going through their reps. You went over by the defense, and did anything stand out to you? Anything stand out? It does seem that, man, these guys are just big.
Logan Hall, he's big. He's really big. He is probably 6'3", 4.
Oh, I've got it right here. Taller.
6'6"?
6'6".
Okay.
283.
He's huge. I thought about maybe saying 6'6", but I was like, is he?
Listen, he wouldn't have been offended.
No. But I was like, man, am I shooting too high?
Daniil's 6'5".
Yeah. But
Keontae Hamilton's 6'4", 304, the DT from Rutgers.
Yeah, they're big. And that's one of the things also Seth was talking about, and maybe not so much when he was mentioning it about the defensive line, but even just the defense, maybe the secondary, where they have length. And he mentioned, this isn't basketball, but you kind of want to have length where you're covering those passing lanes, where you can extend your arms. And sometimes, remember, it's cliche, but what do they say? It's a game of inches. And sometimes when you are just towards the trajectory of the ball, you're in that passing lane and you extend your arm, you reach out, you might just get enough of a tip or to deflect the pass or to just make some type of impact. And these guys, they have length. I mean, look at Kalen Bullock, right? He's a pretty tall guy for his position as well. So he's just lengthy. So going back to your question, also Caden McDonald, he looks good. He looks very good.
Tomorrow, we believe the team's going to be inside. Obviously, as they're getting through this acclimation period of being out there, it was hot. But I don't think it's been the hottest training camp we've been to. I think it's probably on the average to right up near the average.
Wait,
why are you laughing?
Well, because one, I was thinking maybe we're just used to it now.
Yeah, maybe.
Or it's funny because Jalen Petrie said when he was asked about there hasn't been any scuffles or anything going on, at Texans practice after what you saw, what happened with the Bengals.
Yeah.
And he said, it's just not hot enough yet, maybe. Maybe when it gets hotter, then we get heated and we'll get into it. So maybe it's not hot enough yet. And to me, when he said that, I was thinking, you don't think it's hot yet? You don't think it's hot enough? It's hot.
Jalen Petrie, again, was one of the guys he mentioned about the evolution of this defense, and they're all just so eager to get better and learn. David Montgomery, I thought David Montgomery had a lot of interesting things that he talked about. One thing was and I think it was Landry who asked him about what makes him so good inside the red zone and why he's been such a threat, a scoring threat inside the red zone. And he basically said it's just about being available, which I thought was interesting. Instead of, no, it's speed or it's your ability to cut or find an open seam. And he just said it's about being available, which I thought was interesting. He also said, David Montgomery, about C.J. Stroud, he seems to like C.J.'s demeanor when CJ's very calm, and especially at this point in camp where, and even during the season, you don't want to overreact to certain plays or miscues or mistakes. And I think David certainly likens that. And of course,
and maybe we see something differently than they do. Maybe during practice when, or whatever, we don't get to see. Because remember, right now we get to see the entirety of practice, but once the season starts, we're allowed to watch maybe 15, 20 minutes at most, and then we are out of there, and then they practice behind closed doors, and maybe CJ's a little bit more fiery, more, has a little bit more oomph, if you will, more punch to him than what we get to see. Maybe he shows us only what he wants to show us.
Oh, I don't know. I just think that, again, it was a situation where David Montgomery was saying that's the kind of guy you want as your quarterback, someone who's not overreacting. And in some ways, sometimes I wonder if people hold that against players who are not overly emotional, because it is such an emotional game, but there are certain positions on the field where you need to have an even keel, and you cannot get – it is the classic, can't get too high, can't get too low, and quarterback is one of them because you are the architect. You are the driver of the 10 other guys on the field, and you have to try and put the bad play past you, behind you, and look to the next one. And I think that's something that obviously David was talking about. He liked the demeanor, and again, he's still getting to know CJ. The one thing he loves is being on the same team as Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter, obviously because they are, quote, freaks.
Yeah, I think every player would love to be on their team, on their side. Nobody wants to go against them.
All right, everybody, that is our Day 2 wrap of what we saw at Texans training camp. As always, thanks for watching us here on the KHOU11 streaming app or YouTube or wherever you're watching us. Let's see, can we get the big... Oh, there it is. There is. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. And for Luis, I'm Jason. Leave your questions, comments, concerns below if you're watching on YouTube. Until next time, thanks for watching.